Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Thursday evening, February 29, 2024. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video, share, subscribe and tap notification bell so that you will be notified every time I post a brand new video. Feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section letting me know what the has been like your year recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so let us take a look at the prediction that was made at the end of last month, the end of January that is, about what the weather would have been like across the Caribbean, including Jamaica, for the month of February. And as we can see right here, we saw whites and yellows that represent average to slightly below average rainfall across portions of Jamaica. Average rainfall, especially to northern Jamaica, and we indeed got that. If you guys remember, the cold front that actually brought some amount of rainfall, especially to section of northern Jamaica, not to mention those strong winds and high wave heights. And it was not even just one cold front, we had numerous cold fronts that even brought in some cooler temperatures and some rainfall here and there. So I guess we could say it verified in a sense, but we indeed got more rainfall than was expected during the month of February, and we're indeed grateful for that. However, as it relates to what the climate forecast system is showing for the month of March, we're seeing those yellows that represent below average rainfall, as we can see by the key on the right in store for sections of Jamaica. And we can see the CANSIPS is showing something similar, more in the way of those lighter shades of yellows that represent below average rainfall. And the average rainfall for the month of March across Jamaica is about the same as 87.15 millimeters of rainfall. So hopefully we actually get more rainfall than is predicted. If we even take a look at what the Caribbean Climate Outlook Forum CARICOF is showing in terms of the rainfall that's expected for the months of March into April and May 2024, we're seeing Jamaica embedded in those whites that represent normal rainfall. So it's actually those 3 months combined. So we're gonna be waiting to see exactly what unfolds. Look at the northern and eastern Caribbean. Lots of blues that represent above normal rainfall, and it's actually making sense considering how warm the waters are and the fact that we're going to be heading into La Nina. We're going to be talking about that shortly. However, if we actually take a look at what June, July and August has in store, look at all of those blues, even some darker shades of blues right there, showing up to even 70% above normal in terms of the rainfall across portions of Jamaica and the Cayman Islands. It's going to be quite interesting to see what happens, especially considering the upcoming La Nina. And if we actually take a look at the next 7 days as to what the Euro model and the GFS model is showing in terms of rainfall, we're just going to be going up to the next 168 hours just to see if there's anything to show. We see some grays that represent rainfall passing through Jamaica, especially tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, getting in on some amount of especially isolated afternoon rainfall. But going on to the next 168 hours, we don't see anything of great significance as it relates to what the GFS is showing. However, we can actually see it's nothing different from what the Euro was showing. Going on to the next 168 hours, more whites than anything, that means average rainfall. So we'll take all the rainfall that we can get for the next 7 days into the month of March, and even the accumulated precipitation forecast maps that's showing by the end of the next 168 hours, the end of the next 7 days, we don't see much in terms of rainfall. We see those blues across portions of Jamaica that represent up to 1 inch of rainfall at most for the next 7 days. So that is basically that in terms of what is being forecasted. However, skipping to what is being forecasted in terms of the La Nina, this is Mark Margavage. He was making a post about the upcoming La Nina, and his post stated El Nino expected to completely collapse. The prospect of a raging La Nina returning by fall means next winter will likely be one of, if not the warmest ever in the eastern US. In fact, I'm probably going to be predicting 0 inches of snow for the southern portions of my forecast, and yada 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 in terms of the American weather. But he also highlights the fact that we're gonna be getting in on the La Nina. Look at the warming that's expected from February to March, April, May, June, July, and August. We're seeing all that warming dissipating and heading into those blues that represent below normal sea surface temperatures across sections of the central and eastern Pacific. And we know what usually happens. We usually see less storms in the eastern Pacific Ocean and central Pacific Ocean, and especially considering that the Atlantic is being forecast to be warmer than normal. It's quite concerning. It's definitely quite concerning. Maybe more rainfall, more storms. We've been talking about this since December, and it's actually coming to fruition. It's only a matter of time before the main institutions, NOAA, the Weather Company, that's the Weather Channel, and Colorado State University come out with their predictions, and it's definitely going to be an above normal season. So we have to take necessary precautions so that we're not drastically affected. We have to be prepared from early. Taking a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, we can see that we have troughs of low pressures right there sitting towards the northeast of the Caribbean. A high pressure ridge dome sitting right there to the north of Hispaniola and Dominican Republic, and to the north of that we see a cold front reaching all the way from northern sections of North Atlantic all the way down into portions of Florida and the Gulf of Mexico. We can also see the contour lines represented by those ridges of high pressure that are sending all of those easterly trade winds across the main development region from Africa into the Caribbean. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can see the clouds associated with that trough, or those troughs of low pressure, to the northeast of the Caribbean, the clouds associated with that cold front stretching all the way into portions of Florida and the Gulf of Mexico. And we can also see those low-level patches of clouds pushing from east to west across the main development region into the Caribbean, all courtesy of the high pressure ridge. We'll be talking more about the Caribbean's weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today. It was stated that sections of eastern, central, and western Jamaica would have gotten in on some amount of afternoon rainfall today, and although it wasn't highlighted, we indeed had some amount of rainfall. If we take a closer look at what happened, we definitely had some amount of rainfall across sections of eastern Jamaica, and then some of that spilled into sections of central and western Jamaica, especially inland areas of some central parishes and western parishes in Jamaica. And if we actually take a look back at the maps, we know eastern Jamaica, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey, so Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew. Central Jamaica, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Middlesex, so St. Anne, St. Mary, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine. Western Jamaica, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, so St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, Trelawney. And what ended up happening, a post was made on our Twitter page. Keep in mind that these posts aren't only made on our Twitter page, but our Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook pages. Or Instagram at weather.jamaica, or TikTok at Weather Jamaica, or Facebook at Weather Jamaica 876. And you already know our YouTube channel at Weather Jamaica. And we definitely saw those clouds bring overcast skies and isolated showers to sections of western Jamaica. So Hanover, Westmoreland definitely got on some of that action. Section of central Jamaica as well. So definitely northern St. Elizabeth, northern Manchester, northern Clarendon, northern St. Catherine, southern St. James, southern Trelawney, southern St. Anne definitely got in on some of that activity. And if we take a look at the latest visible satellite images of Jamaica before the sun went down, we can actually see that some of these clouds even made it to coastal areas of some northern parishes, maybe affecting sections of coastal areas of Trelawney, sections of St. James, maybe coastal areas of St. Elizabeth as well. And they're indeed still getting in on that heavy weather as we speak across sections of Westmoreland. We can see it all even better on the infrared satellite images that are actually showing some amount of high cold cloud tops across the region that indicate some convection taking place. Not much to bring some thunderstorm activity, but definitely some high cold cloud tops being blown off towards the southeast, as we can see right there by the upper level wind shear. And we can actually see that rainfall even better on the Cuban Doppler radar images, the latest images showing those greens and yellows that represent rainfall coming off of western Jamaica as we speak. So that indeed confirms the forecast for yesterday. So eastern, central, western Jamaica did indeed getting on that rainfall. Some areas more than others. And if we take a look at the temperatures right now, we can say we have 27 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 28 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and as usual, as the night progresses, these temperatures should be getting lower. As it relates to the temperature forecast for 3 a.m. on Friday, temperature should dip down to about 23 degrees Celsius in both Montego Bay and Kingston. As it relates to the temperature forecast for tomorrow, 18Z on Friday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Friday, shows that Jamaica should be embedded in some amount of yellows and some slight oranges that represent 1 to 2 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures. And now, we're starting to get back up in the temperatures, considering that we're heading into the month of March. We're heading into the month of spring. Spring actually starts on March 21, but meteorological spring starts on March 1. So it makes sense that the temperatures are starting to go right back up. And actually, 87, it looks like 87.2 degrees Fahrenheit is what is being expected. So when we actually calculate that, 87.2 degrees Fahrenheit is basically the same as 30 degrees Celsius. Nothing much has changed. 30 degrees Celsius, maybe 30.6 degrees Celsius if I'm not mistaken. So if we're going to be getting up to 2 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures according to the forecast map, it should be anywhere from 30 to 32 degrees Celsius at most. As it relates to the dry air map, you can still see that a lot of dry air is plaguing the Caribbean and the Atlantic. All of those yellows and oranges, as we can see by the key at the bottom. As it relates to the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Friday, majority of the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico should be in the clear. Jamaica should be in the clear, as all the browns that representing the Saharan dust should be across portions of the main development region and Africa. As it relates to the wave forecast for tomorrow, we see more in the way of light blues and dark blues surrounding the island that represent anywhere from 0.5 meter wave height to 1.5 meter wave height, and that's because the winds are not going to be that strong. We see more in the way of blues and greens that represent anywhere from maybe 5 to 10 to even 15 knot winds, and we see that for the most part the wind should be coming in from the east, and whatever comes in from the east definitely going to be pushing across the island to the west. So eastern, central, and western Jamaica is the fashion, and with the upper level winds still coming in from the northwest, just like what we saw on the infrared satellite images with those high cold cloud tops being blown out towards the southeast, chances are that southern Jamaica is definitely going to be getting in on whatever is to come the most. And when the southern parishes, we're talking about St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, and Westmoreland. And that's exactly what's happening right now. With the upper level winds coming in from the northwest, we can see that Westmoreland is definitely getting on the brunt of whatever heavy rainfall that's taking place as we speak. So if there's more rainfall to come, although it's going to be affecting eastern, central, and western Jamaica, southern Jamaica is going to be experiencing the brunt of this weather. And if we actually take a look at the meat of the matter now, the rainfall forecast, both of these maps from the Euro and the GFS are showing 3 a.m. on Friday, and we do see those blues that represent rainfall across sections of some northern and eastern parishes in Jamaica. Skipping ahead to about 8 a.m., much of the same northern and eastern Jamaica still getting in on that rainfall. Euro a bit more robust than the GFS. Either way, we still see the consensus. Skipping ahead to about 10 a.m., much of the same. Eastern and northern Jamaica getting in on the rainfall that's expected. And then by about 3 p.m., look at that. It's now eastern, central, and western parishes in Jamaica getting in on that rainfall. Then finally by 5 p.m., mainly central and western Jamaica getting in on the action. It's definitely going to be an interesting day in terms of rainfall. Rainfall is definitely in the forecast for sections of the island, and we can see that even better on the accumulated precipitation forecast maps. Both the Euro and the GFS are showing some form of rainfall represented by those greens, even some yellows. Euro showing up to 0.27 of an inch of rainfall for the totals across eastern Jamaica. GFS showing up to 0.28 of an inch of rainfall across eastern Jamaica, up to 0.29 of an inch of rainfall across northwestern Jamaica. It's gonna be interesting to see exactly what unfolds. We're entering the month of March. We usually receive up to 87.15 millimeters of rainfall. Definitely an increase from what we usually get in the month of February. So it's definitely welcomed rainfall. Spring showers are finally about to arrive, and we're indeed grateful that this is going to be happening. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So we can see that we indeed have a lot of clouds coming in from the east, some low-level clouds. Some of these clouds packing a punch with some isolated shower activity, and we can see it all even better on the Doppler radar images. We know Doppler radar images show the actual rainfall as opposed to satellite images that show cloud cover. We can see those greens that represent rainfall, light to moderate, most of all across sections of the Leeward Islands, anywhere from Martinique northward, especially to the east of the Leeward Islands. Dominica getting in on the action as we speak. Guadeloupe, Montserrat, Antigua, and Barbuda, sections of St. Kitts and Nevis, not so much St. Martin, but definitely sections of the US and British Virgin Islands, some hit or miss showers here and there. Not much taking place across Puerto Rico, but to the waters north and to the south of Puerto Rico getting in on some of the action. As it relates to the Barbados radar, we don't see much taking place across Barbados right now, but they might have gotten in some amount of rainfall today. Lots of rainfall to the west of there, heading into portions of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, sections of St. Lucia getting in on the action, Martinique getting in on the action as well, maybe sections of Tobago and Trinidad later on tonight too. As it relates to the wider view of Doppler radar images, not much taking place across majority of the basin. The Florida radar clear, Belize radar clear, the island to the east of Nicaragua clear, the ABC Islands radar clear. Not to mention the northeastern portion of South America clear. So nothing for Guyana, Suriname, or French Guyana at this time. However, as it relates to the temperature forecast for tomorrow, we see that 18th on Friday from the GFS is showing average to above normal temperatures across majority of the Caribbean. Below normal temperatures expected for the southern Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos as represented by those blues. As it relates to the siren dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Friday, we do see that majority of the Caribbean should be in the clear, as all of the Caribbean should be in the clear, while all the siren dust should be across sections of the main development region, and Africa is represented by those browns. As it relates to the wave forecast for tomorrow, we do see that the eastern and western Caribbean, not to mention the Gulf of Mexico, should be getting in on those blues. They represent anywhere from 0.5 meter wave heights to 1.5 meter wave heights, while wherever we see those purples right there to the south of Jamaica, to the north of Colombia, to the south of Haiti, that's where we're going to be receiving those 2 to 3 meter wave heights, and that's because the winds are going to be strongest in those spots where we see the yellows that make the winds actually go up to 25 to 30 knots in some spots. The greens we know anywhere from 15 to 20 knots, and we see the general direction across majority of the Caribbean coming in from the east, across sections of the eastern Caribbean coming in from the northeast. However, as it relates to the rainfall forecast, let's talk about what's expected in terms of rainfall. We do see the consensus for rainfall across sections of Jamaica, sections of the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, the northeastern Caribbean, those areas that are already getting rainfall right now, more rainfall to come. Sections of Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines, Grenada getting in on the action as well. Looking southward, maybe sections of French Guyana, Suriname, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Eastern Honduras getting in on the action as well. Not to mention sections of Belize, especially southern Belize right there. We know that when both maps from the Euro and the GFS are in consensus like this, the chance of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.